Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Soul and Screen. In this particular video, we will be continuing the conversation on soul ties, and we are using Tyler Perry's Sista, the TV show, and talking about the situationship between Zach, Fatima, and Karen. So let's just get straight into it. Last video, I left off where Andy and Fatima were having a conversation, and Karen pops up at the apartment and she overhears Andy tell Fatima, like, don't let Karen come between you and Zach. And Karen gets off of the elevator overhearing everything, and she's like, yeah, please don't. So Andy immediately is like, Karen, me and Fatima were having a private conversation. So asking her, like, what you doing here? And so she goes, I see that. And she goes, well, what you doing here? Because just because I gave you a key don't mean that you can just pop up to my house unannounced. And so she goes, well, I actually was coming over here to apologize to you. And so Andy was like, oh, cool, because you owe me one. And Karen goes, no, I don't owe you one, but I'm going to give it to you. Now, let me just put a pin here. Who tells somebody that? Like, if you're not coming over here to give me a sincere apology, what you doing here? Wasted all your gas money and everything, because I don't want any type of apology that is not sincere. So you can go ahead and keep that, put that back into whatever envelope you was going to put it in, and save it until you mean it. So anyway, she basically tells Karen that, no, you do owe me one. And they kind of get into it a little bit, start bickering. And Fatima is like, what is going on? Gets a little bit uncomfortable. And she goes, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go. And so Andy stops her and she goes, no, you're not going nowhere. And so Karen looks over at Andy like, no, you didn't tell this chick to stay here when I just told you I want to talk to you. And so Andy kind of stops and she checks Karen. She's like, you know what, Karen, I'm sick of this. And so she goes, finally, basically she just tells her, you my friend, but Fatima, you are my friend as well. I will never betray you, and I'll never betray you, Karen. She was like, but I'm done with this. I'm not going to let Zach come between this. And so she ends up kind of, telling them that she would never tell the other person one thing that the other person told them. So in other words, if Fatima told her something, she wouldn't tell Karen, and vice versa. But let me put a pin here. That's not necessarily true, right? Because prior to them coming over to Andy's house, when they were at Karen's house, after the fight and everything, Andy actually did tell Karen what Fatima told her not to tell her. And just because the fight happened don't mean that you don't still get to not honor your promise. Fatima made her promise not to tell Karen what was going on, and Andy chose in that moment to tell Karen what was going on. So in all honesty, Andy, the reason why Karen mad at you is because you didn't keep your promise to Fatima. So moving on. Also, I don't think that her statement that she's not going to let Zach get in between them is valid, because Zach is not the one who's getting in between Fatima and Andy, or Karen and Andy. The one who's getting in between them is really Fatima. So Karen is upset because Andy is choosing Fatima according to her, and so is Zach. And so it's not actually Zach who's getting in between her. Now, Zach is getting in between Karen and Fatima, but the person who's getting in between the relationship between Andy and Karen is Fatima. Karen is upset that all arrows is pointing towards Fatima, period, point blank. She's mad that Zach won't Fatima, and she mad that that Andy is not being loyal according to her, that she's leaning towards Fatima in a lot of things. Again, she told her in a previous episode, you keep choosing her side. And then she told Aaron in a previous episode, right after the fight, after she kicked Andy out of the house, she basically called Aaron in and was like, I'm so sorry. And she was like, I'm really not jealous of Fatima. I'm not. But somebody said conjunction junction, what's your function, right? But so cancel out everything that I just said. But she just keep going after, she started going after my ex, and then she going after all my friends. Let's put a pin here. Zach went after Fatima, not Fatima went after Zach. Andy and Fatima became friends. If Fatima did not search out Andy, actually, again, Andy is just kind of reciprocating some friendship towards Fatima. So Fatima wasn't purposefully trying to remove Karen from either from Andy's life, and for a moment, she wasn't even really trying to be with Zach until Zach started pursuing Fatima. So again, this soul tie got Karen just seeing what she wants to see instead of if she needs some clarity, then ask for clarity. But in all honesty, they've been very clear. She just chooses not to hear it. So anyway, moving on. So basically, Andy is just like, letting Karen know that, I was never going to betray you. Like, I don't tell you anything that Fatima tells me, and I have no intentions on doing that. And she was like, basically, is that right? And so Fatima was like, well, what happened? And so she tells her, Karen kicked me out of her house because of something that wasn't even my fault, like something that I didn't know. And so Karen pops in. She goes, actually, I kicked you out because of something that you did know. Apparently, there was a picture that was going around about me and Zach that he was upset about, and you didn't say nothing about it. And so she goes, well, she didn't. So Fatima comes in for Andy and says, well, she didn't tell you that because I told her not to tell you. And so then Andy goes, thank you. And she goes, well, why? She goes, because somebody sent the picture to me. This is what Fatima is telling Karen. And she goes, well, why did they send it to you? She goes, I don't know why they sent it to me, but I was upset. And she goes, well, why? She said, because Zach seems to believe that you had somebody set him up and take the picture so that they can send it to me. And she goes, well, I wouldn't do nothing like that. And she goes, well, Zach seems to think that you would. And she goes, well, like I said, I wouldn't do nothing like that. And she goes, like I said, Zach seems to think that you would, and I don't know you well enough. So I'm about to, go tag off of my man. So since he think that you would, why wouldn't I think that you would? And so she basically is like I said, Fatima, because I'm telling you that I didn't do it. But let's be real here, Karen. Like, you lie a lot. Like, you do this whole process. There's always some way that you coming in with an untruth. If you don't want to call yourself a liar, it's not the full truth. It's not the whole truth. And so anyway, why should Fatima believe you? But also, Zach knows you in a different capacity as well than the other ladies. I still think that even though they never really wrote what happened and who did take the picture, I still personally think that Karen did set it up. That's just my opinion. It's never been written. Nobody has ever addressed it as far as the writing of the story or anything, but this is Tiffany's opinion. So anyway, after Fatima says, tells her, well, what she basically was just like, well, that's the reason why Zach came up to you. And so she was like, well, I wouldn't do all of that. And she goes, well, my question is, why'd you kiss him in the first place? And Karen looks at her and she was like, you really want to know? And Fatima was like, well, I asked, didn't I? And so she goes, well, if you get an attitude, then I won't tell you. And so Andy is stepping in, like, wait a minute, y'all, don't go there. And so Fatima just lets her know, like, Karen, in all honesty, I'm standing here as calm as I can be, because there was no way that you should have been, putting your mouth on my dude no matter what. Like, she didn't say this, but that's the look that she giving her, right? And so Karen goes, well, I decided to hug and kiss the father of my child for his child support offer. Now, again, Fatima was way better than me, because she should have said somebody's baby, because that we don't know for sure that that's Zach's, period, point blank. But Fatima was being nice and was like, got you. And she goes, so that's why I did it. And she was like, okay. And she goes, but like I said, I'm moving on with Aaron anyway. And so she was like, well, can you please tell, no, she goes, well, Zach was wrong, just so you know, for attacking me. Now, Zach did not attack Karen. Let me clear this up. In my opinion, Zach definitely had an attitude, but he did not attack her. He walked up to her with an attitude and asked her a question straight out. Did you have somebody take a picture of you kissing me and send it to Fatima? Karen decided to act like she don't know how to hear and was like, what? And Zach repeated himself, but he escalated and he did elevate his voice. Did you have somebody take a picture of me and Fatima, me and you, and send it to Fatima. And she kept trying to play stupid to the point where he did get upset. And then he started yelling at her. But Zach actually did not come there and immediately just attack her. Like, he asked her a question. I need people to really start paying attention to what's going on. He shouldn't have come with her with an attitude, but he did. But it wasn't like she could not have answered his question. And the fact that she never did answer his question, she could just kind of, what you talking about? Like, what do you mean what I'm talking about? I just asked you a question. It's yes or no. And so anyway, that's why Zach really got infuriated, because she never really did answer the question. She just kind of started answering his question with a question. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Instead of just answering his question, no, I don't know what you're talking about, but what makes you think that, like something like that. But she never did. So anyway, then she says, and he was wrong for coming over and attacking Aaron and acting like a effing animal. Now, again, he didn't attack Aaron either. He absolutely didn't. Aaron decided to get in somebody's business because it wasn't his. And once again, Karen has never said that this is my man. So I ain't saying that he couldn't defend the woman that he kind of likes. So I ain't saying that he didn't need to get into it, but I'm saying that that Zach did not attack Aaron. Aaron put his hand on Zach first, and Zach defended himself. Now, Zach was absolutely fed up with Aaron being in his business, so he absolutely obliged and began to beat his entire tail. Now, but attacking him, nah, like, I need people to, come on, we just putting 10s on stuff. But he did come at them out of line, out of pocket, because he had an attitude. And Aaron decided to take up for Karen, and so that's when the argument happened. So anyway, Fatima goes, yeah, I'll let Zach know. And she goes, thank you. Now, if you can go. This is Karen, trying to dismiss Fatima out of somebody else's house. This ain't your house. Then you can go. I want to talk to Andy. And so Andy goes, well, Fatima is staying here tonight. Now, Fatima, being wise, because why I'm not about to let this chick know that she made me and my dude had no argument to the point where I'm not staying here. So, staying home. So she literally tells Andy, you know what? I'm going to go home and talk to Zach. And she looks at Karen and says that she's going to talk to Zach. I'm going to go home and talk to my man and see what's going on. And so she leaves. That leaves Andy and Karen to talk. And so, like I said, Karen was like I said, I just came over to apologize. And so Andy was like, I hear you. And she was like, well, you gonna get over it. Why would I get over it? You just told me that you apologizing, but you don't even really mean it. When I tell you guys the way that they pacify this character and this chick, I don't understand why everybody is walking on eggshells around Karen, pregnant or not. Why would I accept an apology? Then you just told me you don't owe me one. That means you don't mean it. So go home. So anyway, fast forward into it a little bit. Fatima gets home gets home. She walks in the door. Zach, guess what, is on the couch, because guess what? He realized he messed up. In some type of way, he's just like, I probably shouldn't have let her leave. So she walks in the house, Zach is on the couch, and he looks up, he stands up, and he's like, hey, and she's like, hey, and he's like, come here, and he grabs her by her hands, trying to lead her, and he's like, please just talk to me. And she's like, Zach, I'm just here to get some clothes. And he's like, no, please come on, please talk to me. And she was like, and so he goes, I'm sorry, and he apologizes to her, and he was like, I'm sorry, I was upset. And she goes, Zach, that's fine, but that don't give you no reason to talk to me the way that you did. And he tells her, well, Fatima, that's true, but real talk, you said some stuff to me too. And she goes, but Zach, I've never talked to you like that, ever talked to you like that. And basically kind of telling him that I talked to you that way because you talked to me that way. Again, neither one of them were right in this moment to me. I think they both have some blame on both sides. I don't necessarily think that Fatima was completely out of wrong for coming and asking him to explain something. But I think that, again, as I said before, emotions were high, and they had just both gotten to a feeling point where they allowed their emotions to overtake them, and they both ended up saying and doing some things that were out of pocket, and not really what they're used to in their relationship. And so I think there is blame to be on both sides, in all honesty. So he definitely apologizes, and he basically talks her into staying because she was going to leave. I don't really think Fatima was going to leave. I mean, she could have, just to prove a point, but I think she definitely knew that they just needed some time apart to calm down. Now let's go and come together and have a conversation, which she did. And so he told her, I'm sorry. And he was like, please don't go. And so she was just like, was that for you to say the things that you said to me and make it feel like this ain't my house? Real talk, you basically was like, this is my house. I'm not sleeping on the couch in my own house. When you asked me to come and live with you, that's basically what she was telling him, is that you made me, for the first time that you asked me to move in here, feel like this wasn't our place, that this was your place. And he told her he was sorry, and that, he would do anything to keep her there. Basically, he was like, can you please just stay? And she was like, Zach, you don't even really want me here. And he was like, quit acting like that. I want you here. I told you, none of this don't matter if you're not here, And so she was like, whatever, Zach. And he's like, so please, can you just stay? And she was like, all right. And he was like, can we please just go to bed together mad? I'm okay if we mad, we just need to calm down, but can you please stay? Can we go to bed together mad? And she was like, Zach, you ain't got no reason to be mad. And he was like, all right, well, can you just be mad and go to bed, but we go to bed together? And she was like, no, you can sleep on the couch. And so he was like, all right, I'll sleep on the couch, but will you stay? And so she was like, yeah, I'll stay. And she was like, I'll go upstairs and think about all this. And he was like, thank you. And then he asked her, can I get a kiss? And she told him no. He was like, I'm asking. And she was like, no, I just need some time. And he was like, all right, I can respect that. And so she goes upstairs, and he was like, he's like, at any point, if you want me to come upstairs. And she's just like, Zach, don't be pushing it. And he's like, I got it. And that was pretty much them, the end of their argument. So you fast forward a little bit into the next day, and, she comes downstairs for work, and he's waiting with some coffee, and he's apologizing to her again, and just really kind of talking it through. He's like, because she's like, I'm gonna be late for work. And he was like, don't do that. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he was like, don't rush out of here. Don't avoid me. And she's like, Zach, I'm not avoiding you. And he was like, you are. And so he makes her talk to him, and he's just like, come on, I told you I'm sorry. And so she tells him, what are you sorry for? I really want to know, do you really know what you did, or is you just saying sorry just because you know that you're in a doghouse? And so he goes, he was listening to her. He told her, I know I told you, I made you feel like this wasn't your house. And, and so that was the main thing. And, the way that the whole thing transpired, but he was like, but I made you feel like this isn't your house. And it is. He was like, I'll go and put your name on the deed right now. And she's like, Zach, I don't need my name on the deed. I just need you to never treat me like that again. And he's like, no, I hear you. And she was like, all right then. And so they agreed to just kind of drop it and everything. And so then she's like, well, I got to go. And he's like, all right. He was like, can I take you to lunch? She's like, Zach, I don't know. I'll let you know. He's like, I'm going to come and take you to lunch. And so she gets ready to leave, and he's like, I love you. And she's like, I know you do. And he was like, do not play with me. And so, she's like, I love you too, boy. And so they had a little cute makeup session, and that was pretty much it for that. As far as Karen, when you go further into it, she, actually, she's at her place, same morning. And she just comes out, and she's checking in on Aaron, how you feeling? And she's like, you don't have to be macho and stuff, just checking in with him. And he's like, nah, he got some licks in, but Karen, I'm good, And she was just like, well, he was wrong. And Aaron, of course, just, I know he was wrong. And she was like, cause I didn't do anything. And he's like, I know. It's like, it's cool. So she's just reassuring Aaron, and Aaron is just becoming the biggest sap ever. I honestly could don't have no respect for this character, none. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and end it there. Just kind of them making up and things like that. Let me know what you think in regards to Karen and Fatima's conversation over at Andy's house. First of all, first, do you even think that Andy was wrong? Like, again, like I said, Andy lied to Fatima because she did tell Karen. Do you think that because of the fight that she should have said something to Karen? Because, I mean, to me, it's still, you broke a promise. Like, I told you, don't say nothing, and you did. And that's why that's why Karen is mad at you. So what do you guys think about that? Also, what do you think about the Zach and Fatima makeup? Zach apologizing to Fatima. I know there was a lot of people who kind of was upset, saying that, Fatima don't never apologize to Zach, and that they felt that she owed Zach an apology too. I do think that she could have apologized to him as well. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I think both of them have a level of blame in both of this, because neither one of them handled this right. I say that because, Zach is not being considerate to Fatima's triggers, which she's shared with him about her last relationship and how things went. So to me, I think Zach could be a little bit more considerate by, not always making this about him. Like, you're not the only one who is going through this. I understand, like he said in his argument when she left the first time, Heather coming at me, Karen coming at me, now you coming at me. So you telling me that my stuff don't matter because theirs do. Like, there has to be a pocket of you where you make me priority, where you are prioritizing me and you are being considerate of what I'm feeling as Fatima anyway, when I say me. But so I do think that he could have been more compassionate, and I don't think that he did. He's again letting his emotions take over as well. So again, everybody, I think she should have apologized to him as well. She could have absolutely been like, I'm sorry too, babe. And she didn't. You know what I'm saying? But I don't necessarily know that she was wrong. I think both of them, both are valid. I just think they didn't handle it very well. Both of their blow-ups, the things that they were saying were absolutely valid in how they were feeling at the time, but it just could have been handled differently. But yes, Fatima could have apologized. I do think that she should have apologized. But I do like the fact that Zach did take the lead in that and apologize to her, because it did, to me, show that he calmed down and he's trying to understand her side. And that's all I'm saying, is that for the majority of all these blow-ups that have been going on, it's been bad. For Karen going off on Zach and Fatima, but it's been about Karen's emotion. It's been about, Fatima kind of being there for Zach. But this is when the tide shift. This is when it started becoming like, now Fatima is starting to be emotionally affected, and now Zach is having to pay attention to this, and I think he could have done better about it. I think Fatima could have been better about expressing that I need you to consider me a little sooner than she did, and that could have also de-escalated some of this. But anyway, let me know what you think. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. But also, please hit the like button. I see that people are watching the videos, and I appreciate your support. Just want to see if I can get you guys to also hit the like button as well. So please let me know what you think in the comments, and let's get into our conversation. Talk to you next time. Bye.